Has no one actually invented a Trump translator yet? Because it almost seems like stuff that he says, his followers later have to come back and explain things away to say that he didn't actually say what we all thought we heard.
God is working with Israel and other allies and friends in that region in order to clean Gaza up under U.S. leadership.
Yeah.
Not direct U.S. decision making, but U.S. leadership.
Donald Trump was holding a press conference with Benjamin Netanyahu, not even taking into consideration that there's actually an arrest warrant out for Netanyahu by the ICC, but hey, rules don't matter anymore, right?
Damn!
There's been fury in Israel after the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah, that wasn't going to happen. It's pretty obvious what Donald Trump's intentions into what he wants to see transpire in Gaza. He made that pretty clear.
Well, look, he's doing a good job. Biden is trying to hold him back. Just so you understand, Biden is far superior to the VP. He's trying to hold him back, and they probably should be doing the opposite, actually. I'm glad that VP decided to do what he had to do.
If you remember, even during the debate with Joe Biden, he was adamant about the fact that Israel needs to just go in and finish the job. Joe Biden needs to take off the reins and let them do what they need to do to get rid of whoever they need to get rid of. I'm going to guess that it's also implied that whomever the casualties may be.
Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one who wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian.
This is not the first time he said this, even to the point that he was making that if he gets back into office and there hasn't been a deal that's been struck or the hostages haven't been released, then all hell is going to break loose. So it's kind of crazy to me that when people were considering him to be a strongman, all they really heard was this.
And Muslim communities, we love you.
All right, thank you. Trump, what do you have to say about Gaza?
Sorry about that. Got to stop. We've got to really do something that's going to make everything come back.
I can't hear him.
What we want is peace all over.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President.
So, having seen his position on Gaza, having heard the comments that he's very blatantly made, it was all the more surprising to me that the protesters that show up in support of Gaza protested Kamala, as opposed to a guy that basically wants to turn Palestinians into something that you only see and read about in the history books.
Oh, shit.
Hold on. Here's the thing. We are all in here together. I'm told an extraordinary number of folks who are here together because we love our country. We're here to fight for our democracy, which includes respecting the voices that I think that we are hearing from. And let me just say this on topic of what I think I'm hearing over there. Let me just speak to that for a moment, and then I'm going to get back to the business at hand. So let me say, I have been clear. Now is the time to get a ceasefire deal and get the hostage deal done.
Pro-Palestinian protesters made their voices heard, and it wasn't just one time at the rallies.
As your president, I pledge to seek common ground and common sense solutions to the challenges you face. Let me say something. We are 6 days out of an election. We are 6 days away from an election. And ours is about a fight for democracy and your right to be heard. Look, everybody has a right to be heard, but right now I am speaking.
You serious?
He intends to end the Affordable Care Act. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
Damn!
And if you remember, the idea was basically that the reason that they were supporting Donald Trump was because they said that he was less hawkish on war, so they were willing to take their chances there.
I'm joined today by Kevin, an uncommitted delegate at the DNC, who tells me he plans to vote for Donald Trump in November in protest. Kevin, just walk me through this, because this is the first time I'm hearing this from a pro-Palestinian protester.
This is purely a protest for the Democratic Party and their platform. And historically, on either side of the aisle, whether it's Democrats or Republicans, we have no friend for Palestine. We already know this. I think Donald Trump is going to be better for America. Donald Trump historically was less hawkish on war and I'll take my chances there.
And of course, they wanted to send a very clear message to the vice president for her quote-unquote genocide behavior.
So that we were the deciders of all of these swing states. We have a movement that's clearly dedicated to punish the vice president for her genocide. Send a message that the vice president lost at the hands of Muslim Americans. Yes.
Mike Huckabee was just named as the guy who's going to oversee the final stages of that campaign. And so our message right now is to President Biden, you've got to do something about this. President Biden, stand up for once to Netanyahu before Donald Trump successfully gets away with pinning this legacy of this ethnic cleansing campaign on you and you alone forevermore.
So now when Donald Trump is actually doing the press conference with Netanyahu, he says what I think was the quiet part out loud.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years.
That's not what Kamala meant when she said not going back.
Right.
But he said that would be good for the people of the area. I wonder who he has in mind. Nonetheless, though, you heard some of the questions that were sent his way when one of the reporters actually asked him in regards to would the Palestinians be allowed to return back. He did say yes, there'd be some Palestinians. When him and Netanyahu were talking, he made it very clear that he wants to do something very nice that they would not want to return back.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
He even said that he wants to turn it basically into the Riviera beachfront, right?
Peter?
Would Palestinians have the right to return to Gaza if they left while the rebuilding was happening?
It would be my hope that we could do something really nice, really good, where they wouldn't want to return. Why would they want to return? The place has been hell. It's been one of the meanest, toughest places on earth. And right now, I've seen every picture from every angle, better than if I were there. And nobody can live there. You can't live there. So if we can build them through massive amounts of money supplied by other people, very rich nations, and they're willing to supply it. If we can build something for them in one of the countries, and it could be Jordan, it could be Egypt, it could be other countries, and you could build 4 or 5 or 6 areas. It doesn't have to be one area, but you take certain areas and you build really good quality housing, like a beautiful town, like someplace where they can live and not die. Because Gaza is a guarantee that they're going to end up dying. The same thing's going to happen again. It's happened over and over again, and it's going to happen again as sure as you're standing there, Peter.
Once again, he's not hiding his intentions. They are very clear. Look at Netanyahu's face. He can't believe what he's hearing at this time. So from what it looks like, he wants to resettle the Palestinians somewhere else while the Israelis take over the entirety of that area. All the way to the point where the man was laying out ideas that he had in his mind, like basically turning that area into the Riviera.
Caitlin, go ahead. Caitlin, go ahead.
Thank you so much, President Trump.
Caitlin, go ahead.
On what you were saying there.
Say it. Go ahead, please.
Just to follow up on what you were saying about the Gazans leaving Gaza, going to other countries. One, where exactly are you suggesting that they should go? And 2, are you saying they should return after it's rebuilt? And if not, who do you envision living there?
I envision a world, people living there, the world's people. I think you'll make that into an international, unbelievable place. I think the potential in the Gaza Strip is unbelievable. And I think the entire world, representatives from all over the world will be there, and they'll live there. Palestinians also. Palestinians will live there. Many people will live there. But they've tried the other, and they've tried it for decades and decades and decades. It's not going to work.
Let me pause right there, because there is something that needs to be stated. If he's already made it very clear that Palestinians and Israelis cannot abide in the same place together, then how are you also then stating that Palestinians would live there and then other people, naturally Israelis? This is called speaking out of both sides of your mouth. You've already stated the dichotomy between the two existing in the same premises doesn't work out between them. There's too much bad blood, so fine. But if the goal is to rebuild that area and then you're going to house Palestinians once again, that's not the question that she asked. What she's trying to get at is, If you rebuild that area after you take out all the mines in the floor, after you restructure the land, are the Palestinians and Israelis going to then coexist on the same premises once again? That's what she wants to know. But he's already made the claim, and this is part where he's probably forgetting that he already said something along these lines, that he wants them to not have to return. He wants them to be resettled elsewhere, probably hoping that she forgets her question.
For decades and decades and decades, it's not going to work. It didn't work. It will never work. And you have to learn from history. History is, you just can't let it keep repeating itself. We have an opportunity to do something that could be phenomenal. And I don't want to be cute. I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so bad.
Where do those people go in the meantime, Mr. President?
But more importantly than that is the people that have been absolutely destroyed, that live there now, can live in peace in a much better situation, because they're living in hell. And those people will now be able to live in peace. We'll make sure that it's done world class. It'll be wonderful for the people. Palestinians mostly we're talking about.
So you hear those comments, they sound outlandish. They almost sound like they would never happen because, yeah, there'd be turmoil, let's just say. But of course, as right on cue, the Trump interpreters have to come on. Byron Donalds then takes it upon himself to then explain away what it is that Trump was actually talking about. Now, what he said is not what you actually heard.
No, it's not.
With such a rapid pace, it's unbelievable. From Trump's bold ideas are just happening with such a rapid pace, it's unbelievable. From Greenland to the Panama Canal to the Iron Dome that he wants in America to now the U.S. potentially taking over the Gaza Strip. I want to get your take on all of this. Do you really believe that the U.S. can achieve taking over the Gaza Strip, even as you've got other regional countries saying, well, we need a two-state solution?
Well, first and foremost, the two-state solution has been something that they always talk about at the UN or any model UN class in any high school in America. But it is not functionally possible. Who is Israel supposed to actually negotiate? The Palestinian Authority? I don't think so, because their leadership is significantly older and there's no clear line of transition to who's going to take over next. So you can't cut a deal with them. I think that what President Trump is talking about is working with Israel and other allies and friends in that region in order to clean Gaza up under U.S. leadership. Yeah. Not direct U.S. decision-making, but U.S. leadership working with those countries in the region to get Gaza in a position where, well, number one, it's rebuilt. Number two, it's not a safe haven for Hamas or any other terrorist front group. You got to have sound leadership and security in that part of the world so that Palestinians and Palestinian children actually grow up in an area where they can actually learn without being indoctrinated, where they can actually build an enterprise without fear of it being taken away from them by the Hamas leadership or any other terror leadership. Yeah. That's, in my view, is what President Trump is talking about, and that's something that can be achieved.
Well, we found a YouTube video of Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, of course, back in February of 2024, and he said Gaza's waterfront property, it could be very valuable if people would focus on building up their livelihoods. I mean, he makes a great point. I mean, look at these pictures of the Gaza Strip. It's an absolute war zone.
Yeah, but unfortunately, to Byron's point, that's not what Trump was saying. Donald Trump was very clear that what he wants is for Palestinians to resettle elsewhere, that he's talking with other nations that they would be able to resettle somewhere else. Chance of happening? Not likely. I just always find it interesting how they always try to explain away what it is that he was saying, that Palestinian children can then grow up in an area that's now rebuilt and that Palestinians will be able to live in peace. No, he's already made it very clear that as long as you have the two sides continuously butting heads, there will never be peace. It's been hell. That's what he said. Listen, let me know your thoughts. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, and I will see you again on the next one. Be easy, y'all.